and welcome to another Facebook Live. Today it's at 4 instead of 2. I hope that still means that a lot of people were able to catch me. It's going to go back to 2 o'clock. So today we're doing breakfast. I had to get the recipe started a little bit without you, but I'm going to explain everything. Otherwise, you'd be sitting here watching me just saute something for 15 minutes. Not real interesting, right? So today I'm taking you to Turkey. We're doing a Turkish breakfast stew. So here in America, except for eggs, which we often have bacon and eggs or something like that for breakfast, most of our breakfasts are really sweet. As a country, we eat way too much sugar, myself included. I'm totally guilty. But you know, so much of our breakfast items are sweet. We have pancakes with syrup, waffles, French toast, muffins, scones, what else? All those things that really are sweet. In most of the rest of the world, they start the day with savory things, often that have a lot of protein, which is really the best way to start the day, right? And for example, in Asia, in most Asian countries, they start the day with soup. You know, really great soups that will have a little bit of meat. It'll have veggies. Sometimes there'll be noodles in it. Sometimes it's rice-based or rice porridges. Savory rice porridges are very common. In China, congee. Congee's a rice porridge. That's often how breakfast is done. And let's see, in Korea, it's called juk, which is basically the same thing. In Thailand, breakfast is often started with khao soi, which is a chicken noodle soup. So today we're going to Turkey. So right here, what I'm doing, we're going to get started now. The recipe is called menemen. Menemen. It's a little bit of a tongue twister. And basically, it's just tomatoes and eggs. So right here, all I've done is sauteed 1 onion and about 4 very firm plum tomatoes. They don't have to be firm, but mine were quite big. My tomatoes were about yay big, so depending how big your tomatoes are, you just want to saute them. And you're sauteing them for about 10 or 15 minutes. You want the tomatoes to get really soft. You want, if they're juicy tomatoes, you want pretty much all of the liquid from the tomatoes to evaporate. So because of that, you're cooking it for 10 or 15 minutes. So here I have them, and they're really nice and soft at this point. And this recipe is really quick and simple, so it's not rocket science. Now here I have 4 scrambled eggs. I mean, not scrambled, just whisked eggs, 4 eggs. And all we do is we dump it right into our tomatoes and onions, and you just want to cook that until the eggs scramble. Now, there's a dish that's very similar to this, which is popular throughout the Middle East, and it's called shakshuka, which I also have on my blog. Now, shakshuka is a dish of Moroccan origin, and it's almost the same, except instead of putting the eggs in this way, so they scramble into the tomatoes, they're just cracked whole, so they essentially poach in the liquid, and the tomatoes aren't cooked as dry. So you really have more of a saucy tomatoes, and then the eggs are poached in that liquid. It's also very common in Israel. There are a lot of people in Israel who eventually came from Morocco, and it's called shakshuka. So that's another version, and that version, you will get that throughout the Middle East. Okay, here, my eggs are all scrambled, so now we're going to add our spices and our herbs. I'm using fresh herbs today, but you can also use dried herbs. I'm going to lower down the heat just a little bit here. So first of all, for some spice, I'm adding a little bit. I have about a half a teaspoon here of crushed red pepper. It's going to give it a little bit of spice. Here I have about 3 tablespoons. I like a lot of parsley. Parsley is very fresh, very springy. It's a nice, refreshing way to start the day. It just adds freshness to whatever you're doing. And then we have some fresh oregano. I know the recipe, and if you're cooking along with me, I did include the link to the recipe. It says 5 stalks, but it really depends upon the size of the stalks, because For example, today when I went to the market and I got my fresh oregano, which was so beautiful. It smells so good. It's so earthy, but yet minty at the same time. And some of these stalks are really long. So 5 stalks of this size stalk of oregano, and it's gonna be really woodsy and earthy. So it might be a bit much. So you have to use your judgment. I would say I have I'm putting in about a tablespoon of chopped oregano. So I've chopped them all up, the leaves. So there we have oregano and parsley. Now sometimes it's also, instead of oregano, you could use dill. I personally am not a fan of dill. I just don't really like it. So I don't use dill, but you can use dill, and that would work as well. And there you have it. And then we're just going to add a little bit of salt to taste. So I'm just adding some salt here. Adding my salt. And there you have it. This is a really yummy, and it's way more interesting than just plain old scrambled eggs. And this is easily can be replaced. Definitely replace some of your sweet breakfast options with this protein-packed ones. I'm gonna just spoon it into a dish so you can get a close-up of what your menemen, or menemen, I always get confused. It's such a tongue twister, menemen. And don't forget, as you're watching this, first of all, give me a hello. I want to know who's watching and enjoying my weekly recipes, number 1. Number 2, don't forget, I'm putting together some spice kits for you guys. And I want to know, what spices are you having difficult finding? What spice would you love to try but can't find? And not only spice, condiment, anything. So please go ahead and do that. And I'm going to show you, just want to turn this off. I don't want it to burn here. And I'm going to show you a picture of, I'm going to show you your menemen. So that's what it looks like. It's just eggs, tomatoes, and some fresh herbs. And like I said, this is something that's really common throughout the Middle East, your menemen. Even though it's a breakfast item in Turkey, it's going to be my late lunch because I didn't have lunch today. So this is a wonderful, delicious, and healthy way to start the day. You know, it's a lot of fresh ingredients, and the fresh herbs just add a brightness, add a fragrancy to the dish. You could definitely serve it with some pita bread if you'd like. Any kind of bread, nice flat bread like they would do in Turkey. Actually, there's also a Turkish flatbread on my blog called Bazlama. That's Bazlama. However, like if you're doing this as a quick breakfast to go, that bread is a yeast-risen flatbread, so you need a little bit of time to let it rest. So I wouldn't suggest it for a weekday meal if you're making this quick before you run to work, but on the weekend, it's really great. The dough is made with yogurt, and the yogurt makes it really nice and soft. It's a really nice soft bread, so it's definitely a bread that you'd want to check out. If you're watching this replay on YouTube, because all of my Facebook Lives get published on YouTube too. So if you're not watching this live and you're always catching it later, you could also subscribe to my YouTube channel, because then you'll just get the updates after it's already uploaded and it's a little cleaner and edited. On YouTube, you just look for The Schizo Chef, or I'm also Foodie Travel, whichever one you'll find me. So if you're watching this on YouTube, I'll be putting the links both to Menemen as well as the Bazlama. So definitely want to check this out. And like I said, please comment, like, and share this video and let me know what spice you can't find. I want you to be able to cook every single recipe that I present to you. So I want to offer you all those ingredients you can't find. And I hope you've enjoyed this episode of The Schizo Chef. And I hope you join me as we eat the world together. Have a great afternoon.